Hi there, it's Rob from the Grumpy Old Gamers, and welcome to the newest episode of our podcast. You can't teach an old gamer new tricks. This is episode 44. And like I said, my name's Rob, and you might notice the screen looks a little bit different. That's because my cohort, Mr. Cashmere, couldn't make it today. Up to his elbows in house renovations, trying to frantically get that done. So we're going to have a Rob-only kind of podcast. So, bear with me. We're going to do things a little different, kind of just catered more towards a single-person kind of podcast here. But we'll hit all the news. We'll deal with the housekeeping, what I've been playing. We'll go through the regular stuff. But it's just going to be me. So let's get right to the housekeeping here so far. And so far, we're 4 brackets in deep on our favorite console March Madness style contest here that we're having on the page. That's the Grumpy Old Gamer Facebook page. And the idea behind that was that we had 32 of our favorite consoles, and they're facing off against each other in a March Madness kind of bracket. And the way that they advance is we have a 2-day poll for each facing off, and we let the people who follow our page vote, and the winner moves on to the next round, and loser goes back in shame and feels sad about themselves. And so far we've had the 3. We're on the 4th one right now. So first one was a challenge of the 8-bit giants, the Sega Master System and the Nintendo Entertainment System, and it was not close. The Nintendo Entertainment System destroyed it. Kind of saw this one coming because the Nintendo sold a lot better. It's a lot more popular here in North America, especially, which is a big chunk of our market. They've moved on to the next round. Not a surprise. The next round was our Sega Saturn versus the Virtual Boy. And this one surprised me a little bit as well. I thought this might be a little bit closer. Neither of them were terribly popular, but the Sega Saturn came out on top there in quite a wide margin, and honestly, not a huge surprise, I guess, because the Saturn even though it was overpriced, didn't sell as well as, say, the PlayStation. It had a lot of really good arcade ports. Sega was huge in the arcade at the time. You had Die Hard Arcade, Daytona USA, Virtua Fighter. And the Virtual Boy didn't have much anything. It was kind of like a fever dream of an idea that may have been a bit early. And you know what? It was nice to see Saturn come in, because Sega's got to have some representation, because the next round, Genesis versus the Super Nintendo, I was surprised. I was shocked just how badly Super Nintendo won here. I guess it kind of says a lot about our demographic, what they're into, and Super Nintendo was great, but Genesis did not get any love. It was soundly defeated, which made me a little bit sad, but I can't fault the Super Nintendo for taking it. I mean, it was a very revolutionary system. But the Genesis, sadly, will not be moving on. And the one we're doing right now, the bracket, that's probably going to be over by the time this is posted, was the Radio Shack Trash 80 color computer, TRS 80, to give it some respect, versus Pong. And when we say Pong, we don't mean Pong like the arcade, obviously. It is the home console bracket, but we also realized there were 300 home versions, so this is the generic overview of all of them. Let's look at it that way. I know Magnavox had one, Mattel had one, Coleco had 400 of them, so this is just Pong. Just the general sit-at-home Pong. And as of right now, the voting's at pretty much a dead heat, so you'll have to see how that one goes. And then after that we'll move it on to the next one there, so you'll see that one by the time this is posted here. And also, today or this week we got ourselves an email, our first email in the mailbox there, makeusgrumpy@gmail.com. So I want to say thanks to Eric for writing us there. And Eric wanted to chat with us about the Atari VCS, the new box, not the original, the new box that's coming out here in November. They just announced Walmart is doing pre-orders. He felt that Ryan and myself may have been a bit harsh on it. That for the price and what you're getting, it's a very decent, if not great, setup, but for the price, was very reasonable. And yes, Eric, you're absolutely bang on. I want to thank you for writing it and sharing your input there with us. I have to admit, I was a little bit harsh on it. A lot of it is because I'm a huge Atari fan. Both Ryan and I are. It's some of our first home console memories are from the Atari. And I was super excited when I first heard about this coming out. I have to admit that it was something I was really looking forward to. But as the funding was over and there were delays and delays and delays, Atari was doing a very bad, and I keep saying Atari, I think it's Atari Soft now. They're not the same Atari they were. There's no Nolan Bushnell or anything like that here. It seemed like they were doing a very bad job of keeping the backers updated. And then news kept coming out about people not getting paid. Contractors, designers. It was a really bad scene, and I have to admit it colored my opinion of what the system could be. And I shouldn't have done that. I do want them to succeed. I want to see Atari do well, because I feel like the Intellivision Amico has done a very, while doing a much better job on the presentation, it's going to be a very comparable system. Perhaps a little bit cheaper. So just looking at the specs, it being a Ryzen-powered little mini computer, the Atari VCS could be something. It could be something very interesting. We're both going to be very interested to see what comes of it and how it is received and how it works now. I think if they'd released this last year, it would have been a lot more positive of an experience. This year, the technology is an extra year older. It is going to have all the Atari classic games in there, kind of like a mini console would have, and it will run Windows or Linux or as well for the so you can play some of those games. But it's coming out at a bad time. It's going to be competing with the PlayStation 5. It's going to be competing with the new Microsoft Xbox. The Intellivision Amico is coming out at the same time as well. To a lesser extent, it'll be competing with that. And I just don't know. I just don't know, man. I'm cheering for them. They have a special place in my heart. But, yep, I'm going to reserve judgment. Try and be a little fair to it, because its specs are still pretty reasonable for a $400 computer. Cheaper than you'd be able to buy. And we're going to see. Let's see how it does. So thanks again, Eric, for writing the show here. And Ryan and I really appreciate it. And if anyone else wants to write to the show, give us comments, have questions, anything like that, you can get us at makeusgrumpy@gmail.com. And yeah, thanks again. So that's enough housekeeping. Let's get to the news here. And we're going to start off with kind of not a great news story to see. I mean, I'm glad it got out, but Ubisoft has had some issues, some allegations coming forward with sexual misconduct in the workplace, specifically with the Canadian offices. But they had 3, I guess it'd be tomorrow, looking at the report here. 3 of their top officers stepped down. And to be fair, Yves, the CEO there and co-founder, is stepping out in front of this and saying there's no place for this in the workplace, and they're saying the right things. Hopefully things get better in their workplace because of this. I mean, it's there's no place for that kind of behavior in the industry that we love. I mean, we're all here because we love video games. There's been a lot of negativity towards the environment that they're being developed with the with all of the crunch reports, the sexual misconduct and allegations. And so it's glad to see Ubisoft, not trying to hide behind anything. They're just saying, okay, look, this was here. We're dealing with it. These people are gone. There's no place for this. And moving on, which is it's good to see, especially with having the Canadian offices here. Like, we don't like to see that here. Don't like to see it anywhere. So hopefully this is dealt with. It becomes less of a toxic environment, and Ubisoft can get back to charging way too much for microtransactions in their games, which is what we all want to know them for. So that's that. Moving on, there were a lot of directs this week. Devolver Digital, Ubisoft, and Nintendo all had directs, so we're busy work week for video games, which is great. So we'll start off with the first one, Devolver Direct. And Nintendo's Direct and Devolver's Direct, Devolver Digital's Direct, couldn't be further away from each other on the way they handle it. Nintendo being very fan-friendly, very family-orientated, whereas Devolver Direct is just non-stop gore and swearing, and they are aiming directly at a specific demographic with this. And they both have their fans. Nina, who's the I believe the CEO of Devolver Direct, is always in the center and front here, and she's becoming a bit of a fan favorite here with their style directs. So yeah, it was something. If you haven't seen it, go check it out on YouTube. If you have a strong stomach, there was a lot of gore. They focused a lot on Carrion, which is one of their big games coming out. But let's kind of go step through the list here of everything they talked about. And first off was this Devolver Land Expo, which is a first-person marketing simulator. It's a free minigame. I believe it's on Steam. And it's you fight, and you're in an E3 kind of area. And yeah, it's kind of wacky, I guess. It's you get the trailers of all the games, so it's like an infotainment kind of thing, I guess. A lot of shooting, a lot of violence. Yeah, so that was very interesting. It's not a AAA game. It's kind of an experience that they're offering to for free that you can get on Steam right now. So, and then some of the games that are coming out are including Shadow Warrior 3, and Shadow Warrior is a very interesting series. It was kind of like a samurai Duke Nukem back in the 90s. I believe it got a new remake in like 2013, I want to say, and then there was a second one. And so 2021 is going to see a new one coming out. Lots of first-person platforming, really, really gory. Got an Asian lead character that they appear to have handled very well as far as not making it a stereotype. Yeah, looks very action-y. Gonna do very well, I'm sure. That's coming out 2021. There's a new pixel arty kind of game called Olaja, which they're saying is a Prince of Persia inspired action adventure. Yeah, good way of putting it. It didn't really excite me that much. I feel like there's kind of a glut now of pixel arty retro looking games, but looks good. They opened with this game called Fall Guys, and it's their it's like their massive multiplayer. It's a battle royale game show, like a Japanese kind of game show where you're all these little characters, very cartoony, and yeah, battle royale game show, like a Japanese style game show, like I'm trying to remember the name of that, like Okinawa's Castle, I think it was, or something like that, where you're going through a whole bunch of different not mazes, but obstacle courses. That's the word. And it looks pretty good. Looks very cute. Carrion where you play this grotesque alien type monster and you're basically just wrecking havoc. Like, not my style of tea, but looks very polished. And it's coming out on July 23rd, so gory as all get out again. Yeah, going to be PC, Switch, and Xbox One, so you'll be able to get it on everything but the PS4, so yay, look for that, I guess. Yeah, another game coming out I did not see coming. Serious Sam 4. Serious Sam, again, a Duke Nukem style game. Maybe it'd be better to call it a Quake style game because it came out kind of a little bit later, but yeah, another first person shooter, really action packed, really gory. The series has seen a bit of a renaissance, coming out on PC and Stadia. So there you go, Stadia. If Stadia is still around in August, you can get this on there. And then I didn't really see too much about the other ones here. Blightbound, it's a multiplayer dungeon brawler. Neat. Weird West. Action RPG, 5 gunslingers. Okay, cool. Yeah. So you can check that all out. They've got the direct up on YouTube, of course, and probably right on their webpage. So also, Ubisoft, just about an hour ago, finished their, they called it Ubisoft Forward. I'm going to close some of these ads because they keep popping up here. Stop. Alright. It was alright. A lot of cinematic stuff, and Ubisoft is really big into this for their shows. Like, it's a lot of cinematics done in engine. I mean, you know what you're getting, right? Like, you've got Watch Dogs Legion. They showed a lot of the story, a lot of the cinematics, and it looks pretty cool. You know, I've never gotten into the Watch Dogs series. It definitely is poignant for what the world is like right now. Comes open with a scene about like a cinematic about governments kind of privatizing a police force and what happens when that goes corrupt and you kind of get thrust into this resistance. And it's Watch Dogs. So yeah, I mean, it looks fantastic. If Watch Dogs is your cup of tea, this is more of the same. Okay, that's Valorant. I don't know why that's in there. Yeah, I had a big pre-show about a bunch of the stuff that's coming to existing shows or existing games. Gigatrack is the gigantic track coming out for Trials Rising. Some stuff for Ghost Recon Breakpoint. Yada yada yada. More stuff for Watch Dogs Legion. Then they went from there to a couple of mobile games, which was interesting because when you go right to the mobile games after, say, the second, or actually it was after the first game they talked about, you're like, oh boy, this is they must not have an awful lot of new stuff here. Nothing against the mobile gamers, but they're not really fleshed out experiences. Typically, a lot of monetization, but they got Valhalla, which is a big 2D fighter, and Elite Squad, which, okay, kind of a shooter thing. It's got Sam Fisher in it, so I'm assuming Elite Squad is like going to be characters that are in Ubisoft games. Yay. Not my cup of tea. But Hyperscape, they talked a lot about. It's their Battle Royale. They're kind of getting into that there, and the idea behind it is, you know, it's kind of like Ready Player One, I guess, where you've got a virtual world to escape from the horribleness of real life, and insert some people, get into the game, and bad stuff starts happening, and it's going to be a big Battle Royale. So, you know, if that's your thing, everyone's taking a kick at that can, so good. Just not really excited about a lot of the Ubisoft stuff, not gonna lie. But They showed off a bunch of Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and that looks pretty good. It is a Assassin's Creed game with Vikings. And it does seem to focus more, or at least much more than the previous games, about a lot of your squad. You're kind of commanding other Vikings as well when you're moving into England and you're trying to settle a place, and so it's not all just solo based like a typical Assassin's Creed game would be. Looks pretty good. It's out on November 17th. PS4, Xbox, and PC. So, yeah. Look, sure, it's definitely a good looking game. Again, not something that'll be on my radar, but if you're an Assassin's Creed fan, it should be good. And then they showed off a trailer for Far Cry 6, which had been leaked already. Yeah, just very dark. Very dark showing of what the game story is going to be about. Dictator and his son, groups of people trying to liberate the country. It's coming. They didn't show any gameplay or anything like that. This is obviously very early access kind of stuff, but they wanted to show us the trailer. February 18th, 2021. So, it says it's going to come out to PS4, Xbox One, PC, and next-gen consoles. So, we'll have to see. Things we didn't see? No Rayman. No Beyond Good and Evil update, which was kind of... I really want to see something like that. I'm really excited about Beyond Good and Evil. The new one there, but just not ready yet, so... And yeah, I've been wanting to see a Rayman collection like they did with the Nitro collection for Crash Bandicoot, but not in the cards, I guess. So that was the Ubisoft one. Did I show? Yes. Nintendo had what they called a treehouse, so kind of a mini direct where they showed off a bunch of gameplay and info about the new Paper Mario Origami King coming out right away here. Looked pretty good. And then they were building up this other game that Way Forward was producing. And a lot of people got excited because Way Forward's done a lot of really good stuff. And then they hyped up what it actually was, Bakugan Champions of Vestroia. I'm probably saying that wrong. Not sorry. Check it out if you want. I couldn't care less about this. This was a huge letdown for anything I would have expected. We were all of the admins were kind of watching this and just kind of like our jaws were down, like, this is the big announcement? Okay. A Bakugan. So, there it is. Be excited or don't. That's, yeah, doesn't do it for me. Alright, moving on to interesting news, I guess. Sony offers the first look at the design of the PlayStation 5 game cases. Surprise? They're still blue. Blue rim, but they got this white thing on the top here for the PS5 logo. Cool, there it is. Not much else to say about that. It's a... Sony didn't have much to offer this week, if that was a big thing, but I think this got leaked because some company showed art for the releasing coming out game. Yep, cool. It's blue with white. There you go. What else we got here? Sony drops... Yeah! This was a surprise. And it raises a lot of questions about when the Epic Unreal 5 tech demo, Unreal 5 engine tech demo came out. It was absolutely beautiful looking at tech demo. But it was a surprise to see that they had decided to show it running on PlayStation 5 hardware. Out of all the things, you think they would have picked a computer or something like that. But they very famously played it on PlayStation 5 hardware. And now it's announced that Sony dropped $250 million for a minority stake in Epic. Yeah, very interesting. Not much was said. It's not the first time that a game company has bought stake into Epic. I mean, Tencent very famously did a large chunk. Back in, was it 2012? Yeah. And, yeah, it's Epic. I mean, they're still controlling themselves. It wasn't, they didn't buy out a controlling stake. Sony doesn't run them now. They're still going to have their engine available for all sorts of other platforms. Just, it'll be interesting to see how it affects maybe things towards how it's optimized. If there'll be exclusives. Yeah, we'll have to see. So, very cool news that way. This one was a little more near and dear to my heart, but it was announced that Shaentae is going to be getting, who've been on the Nintendo platform for a long time. The original game came out on the Game Boy Color, and was a lot of fun. They had a re-release on the 3DS store. I believe it was for the DS, but it was on the 3DS store not that long ago. And they're getting a limited run is going to be doing a physical version, as well as they're going to get regular physical and digital versions coming to the Switch in September. Oh, available to pre-order this September. Okay, so you got a ways here. But it's yeah. The Shaentae game series is near and dear to my heart. It's a Metroidvania series starring the little half genie there, and it's great. So more please. Right now, if I want to play that game, I have to play a whole bunch of Home Depot ads. Look at that. Great timing. I'm gonna just close that window. But yeah, it's great to see it coming. More Shaentae, please, all the time. Really enjoy their games, and it's nice to see the original coming back to Game Boy. Yeah, that was on the Game Boy Color coming to the Switch, because honestly, great series. I remember playing the Game Boy Color version, just thinking, man, this is fantastic that a game like this is running on a Game Boy. So good to see. Next off, we got Nintendo Switch Online. They announced their new games for July. You got, how do you pronounce that? Good gravy. Natsuma Championship Wrestling. You got The Immortal. And you've got Donkey Kong Country. And, yeah. Good to see. Like, Donkey Kong Country, anyone who doesn't know, it's a fantastic side-scrolling game. It was on the Super Nintendo, obviously, and done by Rare. And a beautiful looking game, like really pushed the Super Nintendo for what you could do. It was almost like a claymation style graphics. It wasn't claymation, but it was very beautiful. In fact, it has a special place in my heart on the box right there. And it was really pushed the limits of the graphics and what you could get out of a Donkey Kong game. And it honestly brought Donkey Kong back into the mainstream, like as far as being a character in games, because he'd been kind of pushed aside for Bowser as a foil for Nintendo, obviously, and nothing had really come out since, I'd say, Donkey Kong 3, I guess. So great to see. Super Nintendo or Switch needs to leak a lot more, or do a lot more of these all the time, because a couple games every 3 months, it's really need more into my veins. Need more of these classics. Okay. Next. Right, I'd forgotten about this one because it's been such a busy week. Like, we're not even done yet. But Sega announced the Astro City Mini Arcade Cabinet. It comes with 36 games. And this thing, to me, it looks a lot like the Neo Geo Mini. It looks a lot better made. But they announced it's going to come with 36 games. And they're all the arcade games, so it's going to be the ones that are announced so far: Alien Syndrome, Alien Storm, Golden Axe, The Revenge of Death Adder. That one's very exciting because I don't believe that's got an official North American release ever on a console. Columns 2, Dark Edge, Puzzle and Action, Tant R, Virtua Fighter, Fantasy Zone, and Altered Beast. And this thing looks pretty impressive. Like, I know the picture here is kind of tiny, but it's a fair size. It's going to have HDMI out. Got a headphone jack. It's going to come with an arcade control pad, which from what I can see looks very similar to a Super Nintendo controller size. So it's going to release at the end of the year in Japan. Will cost about 12,800 yen, or about 117. I'm assuming that's American dollars, which is a good price considering the Sega Game Gear Mini with 4 games is going to be 25 bucks American. So this you get actual arcade games. No announcement yet of this coming to North America. I would hope so. This thing looks awesome. I'm really excited to get my hands on it if it does. And I will definitely do a review for the page here if it does. But also as the team fanboy of Sega, special place in my heart, obviously. But yeah, more news about this as we find out more of the games, whether it's coming to North America or not. But very, very excited. And any other week, this might have got a lot more coverage, but not this week. Very busy. And at the beginning of the week, we found out that another player into Warner Brothers Gaming being sold off is Microsoft. Microsoft's looking into getting them. And Warner Brothers Gaming is owned by AT&T, being the parent company, I guess, at this point. AT&T in a little bit of a money crunch. They're looking at selling off, and you're looking at the Arkham games, I believe the Lego games. But Warner Brothers also has NetherRealm, Monolith, Rocksteady, Avalanche, and TT Games. So, very exciting. If Microsoft was to get in on this, it'd be nice to see a publisher having these and being in the actual video game industry. Like AT&T being the parent company, they're just not really... It's not... they're not pushing it like I think Microsoft or Sony or someone would, or a bigger publisher. So be interesting to see. It'd be great just to see them come out, because Microsoft has also proven that they will have their games, like they will allow their games on other platforms as well, right? Like the Switch is getting a lot of the Microsoft games. So we'll have to see. I'll be keeping an eye out on this. It's very interesting. I would imagine it won't be too long before we know who actually gets this, but yeah, that's the news there as far as we've got. So go back to the desktop here. So time to move on to what we're playing. And it's been kind of a quiet week for me, but I have been playing the Konami Arcade Classics for the Switch, and so it's a collection of Gradius, Life Force, Twin Bee. Anyone who doesn't know, I'm a big shmup fan. I really enjoy me some shooters, and I was just with Gradius coming out on Arcade Classics. I believe it was the Hamster or it might be the Arcade Archives group that do Switch arcade ports for the Switch, and I'm like, hey, I think I've got Gradius on a previous collection, and I do. So I was kind of led me down that rabbit hole, and what can I say? They're great games. Like, I think Thunder Force is in there as well. Great representations of the arcade games. I think they're fairly cheap, like $20-$30 or something like that. And if you're a shmup fan, check it out. Like, they're very arcade quality ports of the arcade games. Lots of them. They've got save states. They've got different ways of mapping the controller. It's it's good. Konami Arcade Classics. And also the other game I've been playing, was one that I streamed live on the channel here because it came to Game Pass. And boy, where to start? Fallout 76 on the PC through Game Pass. Wow. I don't even know where to start. I streamed it for an hour last night, kind of my first impressions of the game. But it almost didn't happen because I installed the game and I couldn't play it. I kept getting their server couldn't, an error message that they couldn't ping the server. And this is really weird. I mean, I know Fallout has some problems and Bethesda's, but it can't be down. And there was no notices on the internet that the servers were down. So I found out through Reddit, and then that if you install the game, when you install it on Game Pass, and you install it on a drive different than what your operating system is on, it won't work. Yeah, that's a thing. The workaround is to either move the game to the same drive that your operating system is on, which a lot of us have Windows or Linux or whatever it is running on a small SSD drive, and then you have a typical platter style hard drive running your games, which is what I have. I didn't have, it's a 100 gig install, and I did not have room for that on my OS drive, so that wasn't going to happen. So the workaround is that you go to where the game's installed, you copy the project INI file, move it and install it, and copy and paste it to a certain folder on your OS drive, and then change the properties to a read-only file, and then you can launch it once. Next time you launch the game, you've got to change it again. So I don't even need to write a punchline for this. This is just the most Fallout 76 thing that Fallout 76 could have done. So, yeah. Once I did that, I was able to stream the game. And, I mean, honestly, it was alright. You know, it was a lot of fun to do on stream because, you know, other people were involved as well. The graphics were good. I mean, I'm assuming it's had some time to work out some of the graphical bugs. I never got to the point where I saw other players. I was still on the Wastelanders. Like, with the Wastelanders update, there's lots of NPCs now. So there's a little bit of a progressing story. Some takeaways is that I wasn't really sure what I was doing. It's not really great for directing you. What else? The player models, like the graphics are good. The player models, especially the faces, are creepy. Like they don't blink. They're not great. There were some times when I was in a bush or something like that, and the actual models, and I was playing on like 4K graphics ultra, whatever the equivalent of high or ultra is on. I didn't actually check, but I mean, the models were pretty bad. So there was definitely some jank. Not as much as I was hoping, because I was hoping for like this big dumpster fire of a stream, but I'm gonna give it another go here. Brent from the page is saying that he's gonna give it a try probably here too, so we might stream a little bit more of that, kind of get deeper into it. Serviceable, not great considering it's a year and a half in, but it wasn't bad. Gonna give it another try. So that was Fallout 76, and that was about it for what I was playing on my own volition this week. A game I was playing that I wish I hadn't. It was my turn this week for the Cheap Bad Game Challenge, and Ryan picked a Switch game called I Hug You. All capitals. And I can't describe this game well enough, so let's take a look at it. Yeah. Does this not look like every single game that Ryan has ever picked for me? Yeah, you play this little dude here, and yeah, you're on the side of the screen, people come up, And if it's the first time you meet them, you hug them. If you've seen them already in that level, you'd pass them by. And that's the game. That's the game. And you get different characters, you get costumes. That's about it. It was not the deep gameplay, obviously, but it wasn't badly done. Like, you know, the one good thing about it is it wasn't depressing. It was a happy game to play, and I made a note of it at the time that, you know, it's good to be playing this kind of game in a this kind of time. You know, we're all kind of, I said the world could use some more hugs. So there was that. And we had some fun with it. But yeah, bad game. Not worth buying. But not the worst game I've ever played. So I think it's 39 cents now if you really want to play it. It had a nice soundtrack. Like, the soundtrack was kind of fun. The character design was really cute. Yeah, I hug you for the Nintendo Switch. There you go. And it'll be Ryan's turn to play a game this week. I don't have one picked out for him yet, but we will we'll get that up to you this week. And keep your eyes open for that. So that's about it for the show. There's the Making Us Grumpy section. It's been a rough week. I mean, it would be fairly easy to pick up. Honestly, like, the best thing I could say for Making Us Grumpy was the stupid Game Pass issues with on PC for Fallout 76, but I don't really need to say anything at this point. Like, I can't believe this came out and it wasn't dealt with right off the bat, because there's no way that they didn't catch this. I don't know if this is Microsoft or Bethesda that's more of a problem with this. I mean, based on history, I'd say Bethesda's probably the problem. But just unacceptable. Like, it's unplayable right now unless you, like, move and copy INI files. And I mean, Damon put it pretty well when we were all chatting about this, that this is the kind of thing you used to have to do when you had pirated software back in the 90s and you had, like, your Russian version of Quake to make it work. This is not something a AAA game should have problems with. Like, it's a joke. But it's Bethesda, it's Fallout 76. I mean, at this point, are we even surprised anymore? I'm sure not. So, yeah. Fallout 76, Game Pass. Hopefully by the time this comes out, they've got a patch for it anyway. That's a good thing about Game Pass, is it'll just download the patch next time you try it. Actually, for giggles, we're gonna do this live on the show here. Let's see if they got it patched yet. I'm gonna boot it up right now. This was not rehearsed. This is just me because I'm the only guy on the show. You're not gonna be able to hear any volume because I've got the desktop audio muted. But let's see. Okay, here's the screen. Can we start? Nope. Nope. This is what you get. Vault-Tec engineers are hard at work getting our servers back online, no region ping. So it's still broken. So Alt F for that. There we go. So yeah, fix your stuff, guys. Yeah, I'm not even really that upset about it. Just, like I said, it's Bethesda. Like, at this point, are we surprised? But we're not going to leave on that note, because that is sad. What we're going to leave on is that we want to thank you all for voting on the favorite console challenge bracket here, and yeah, we've been seeing a lot of interaction with the community, which is great. And look forward to the next couple of consoles here coming out. I don't know the next one off the top of my head, but it'll be up today, right after we find out who wins between the Trash 80 and the Pong consoles. So keep going with that, please. We really appreciate the interaction. And also, yeah, thank you all for watching. And we really appreciate the community that's kind of grown out of the Facebook page here. Ryan and I both do. And please reach out to us. Let us know what you think of the show, what you think of the page. You can reach us at makeusgrumpy@gmail.com, or you can post on the page, like leave comments, leave likes on the video here or any of the videos we do. We appreciate anything you guys reach out to us for, and we appreciate you guys watching. We're just a couple of guys who like video games, a couple of older guys, like we're both in our 40s here, closer to 50. But we've got people on the page who are in their 20s, we've got people who are in their 60s. And it's just a community that we love and really appreciate you all for being involved in. So thank you for that. Our Facebook page, you can just search The Grumpy Old Gamers. The YouTube channel, you look for Grumpy Old Gamers as well. You can also listen to this podcast in audio format, as well as the ways you would normally hear it. You can search for You Can't Teach an Old Gamer New Tricks on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, any of the Buzzsprout, any of the places you normally find it. And it's available there for listening and download as well. So I'll leave it at that. There's a lot of news to cover. Thank you for listening in, as always. And like I said, take care. Have a great day. We appreciate you all. And we'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.